Hello again, precious friends. Welcome back to the Carnivore Hippie channel and into Aunt Patty's kitchen. Today we're going to do recipe number 2 with our wonderful chicken flour. And the recipe is carnivore pancakes. We talked the other day about how you could make a mock French toast or pain perdu out of the chicken bread. And today we're going to do a slight variation on that recipe and turn it into another perennial breakfast favorite that a lot of people miss when they switch to a carnivore diet. And that is, once again, pancakes. Okay, so as usual, we're going to start with our hardware. Here we go. So we are not going to need our food processor today, but we are going to need, of course, our skillet, some butter to grease the pan with, and a pancake turner for cooking. Okay, and for our mixture, we're going to need a food scale, our egg beater set up. It's the same one as last time. It's going to be noisy, so we're going to pause the video during that. And we're going to need a coarse sieve because this time we're going to be sifting our chicken flour because we're not putting it in the food processor a second time like we did with the bread. We're just going to want to make sure that we got no big lumps left in it. A spoon for stirring and for dosing out our batter into the pan later. Of course, my ubiquitous silicone spatulas. A big bowl for whipping your egg whites. There's 2 egg whites in here. A little bowl for mixing up your chicken dough. And another littler bowl to separate your eggs. We went over separating eggs last time. So I'll assume you have your own method, preferred method of separating your eggs. Okay, so to go with our software, we have our chicken flour, okay, which we will deal with in a second. We have a tablespoon of melted butter that's been melted and cooled a little bit. We don't want it too hot. Just really, really soft and liquidy. Doesn't matter if it's starting to congeal up a tiny bit. It's okay. We have 2 teaspoons of allulose powder. I had somebody ask me if you could use something besides allulose. And apparently allulose is not available everywhere on the globe. Big surprise. You can use powdered erythritol or xylitol for this. Keep in mind that erythritol and xylitol don't brown the same way sucrose and allulose do. So just keep in mind your pancakes are not going to be as toasty brown. So don't wait for them to get brown. Just you may have to eat them pale, but that's okay. They'll still taste good. And here is a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, just because I like that. That's for flavor only. A teaspoon of vanilla. Again, that's for flavor only. And a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder to make our pancakes fluffy. And that's going to be, and of course, our 2 egg yolks. And that's going to be our chicken dough, which we are going to leaven with our egg whites. And our 2 egg whites right in here. We have, that's going to be where our allulose goes. We talked about that before. I did it a little out of order. Our allulose is going to be mixed with 1/8 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now, it happens that, one second. I happen to have an 1/8 teaspoon measure. I have these cute little 1/8 1/16 and 1/32 teaspoon measures. But if you don't have an 1/8 teaspoon measure for the xanthan gum, it's just a little bit shy of a gram. Well, it's actually a tiny pinch more than half a gram, but you can just eyeball half of your 1/4 teaspoon measure and that will be fine. It doesn't have to be exact. We have a tablespoon and a half of water. That's about 22 milliliters. And our 2 tablespoons of egg white powder. We have twice as much egg white powder proportionally as we had for the bread. Okay, so first thing we are going to do is, with our food scale, we're going to weigh out and sift, as we sift, 60 grams of our chicken dough. I don't know if you can see the scale. So we have our bowl tared out. Make myself some room here. The reason we're sifting this is because there's still a little bit, an odd hard lump in here, which if you're going to put it back in the food processor a second time is not that big a deal. But we're not going to use the food processor this time, so we just want to make sure any of our hard lumps are gone. And we're going to just sift through here until we have 60 grams. It's hard for me to see from this angle. That's 40. 50. And that is, I believe, 60, 61. That's fine. That's enough. And I just knock whatever's left from the sieve back into the bowl. And we're done with that. And we're done with our little sifter by sifter. And we're done with our scale. Okay. So, the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing in our cinnamon, our vanilla, our melted butter, and we're not going to put the baking powder in just yet. And we're going to stir this around. And then we're going to put our egg yolks in and mix them in one at a time, the way we did last time. There was no gelatin in this mixture, so we don't need to put any water in it. There's going to be plenty of moisture in the egg yolks. The texture of the pancakes we want to be a little bit drier than the texture of the bread, which is why we put the gelatin in the bread, was to keep it from becoming like dry, like memory foam. Anyway, so here we go. This is about the same consistency, about a soft biscuit dough consistency. Okay? And that's ready to be set aside. So the next thing we are going to be doing is we're going to be beating up our egg whites. And oh, I forgot my cream of tartar. I have to, it seems like I traditionally have to forget something. Every recipe, if I remembered everything perfectly, the world would probably come to an end. A pinch. See, that's a teeny tiny pinch. You don't have to measure it. Just get a teeny tiny bit on the very tip of a spoon or the tip of a knife, or just use your fingers to pinch it out of the jar, if that's what you want to do. And we're going to fix up our whisk. And we're going to do like we did in the last video. We're going to beat this until it's foamy, and then we are going to add the rest of the ingredients, which are our water, our egg white powder, our sugar, and our xanthan gum. This is the baking powder. That's for last, like last time. So here we go. Noisy, noisy. I gotta learn how to edit. It's so difficult. Anyway, I'm trying, you guys, but I mean, it really is difficult. It takes a long time to learn how to do that stuff. Anyway, so now, as we did last time, we're going to stir our xanthan gum into our allulose or xylitol or erythritol, whatever it is you happen to be using, so that our erythritol can stabilize our egg whites, and we have no danger of nasty little xanthan gum, what am I trying to say? Dumplings. Yeah, that. Sprinkle on top. Give it a little bit of a stir to wet everything. And then we're going to put in our egg white powder. I'll repeat it again because I don't think it can be repeated too frequently. Everything that touches your egg white powder needs to be kept absolutely dry until the egg white powder gets dumped in your bowl. I keep my egg white powder in a closed snap top plastic container. I open the container, I measure out my egg white powder, and I close it again immediately. You just can't let that stuff get humid. Okay, so we're going to stir this around, and we're going to add the water. That's about 22 milliliters of water, or a tablespoon and a half. Because this volume of egg white powder with only 2 egg whites needs a little extra water to help it. Because we basically need a little bit more than just 2 egg whites for this. And I find that the density of the egg whites is better if I use the egg white powder and just a little bit of water than if I used, say, a 1/3 egg white. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and whip and whip and whip, and I'm going to pause the video because y'all don't want to listen to that. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Hello again. We're back. We have our beautiful, stiffly beaten egg whites, as you can see. And we are going to do, as we talked about last time, we're going to do liaison, where we're going to take this stiff mixture and we're going to loosen it up by folding in a little bit of our egg whites. And now we are going to add our baking powder. Just like last time, for the same reason, we're putting it in at the end, because we want to make the best use of all of that chemical reaction which creates the loft. We have also our skillet heating up on our cooktop. We're going to put a little bit more, another 2 or 3 tablespoons in. This is going to make about 2 servings of pancakes. And now we're going to put the softened chicken mixture directly into the egg white, and as we did last time, fold. This is a really, if you're not used to cooking and if you don't have a background in baking, this is a really useful technique to learn. So I really hope that you try to make this recipe and practice this. Our pan is hot and ready to go. I can tell by the smell of it. I can tell that I cooked bacon in it yesterday. Even though it's washed, I can still smell the bacon in it, which is fine with me. I'm going to turn the pan off for just a second and let it cool off a little bit, just to make sure it's not too hot. And we are going to make some pancakes. You can see the batter, it's not perfect. There's the odd white streak left, but that's okay. Better a little undermixed than overmixed, as I said last time. So here we go. We're going to put a little butter in our skillet, just to get it ready. I turned this cooktop off so that it could cool off a little bit before I put the butter in, because I didn't want a big splatter. Now I'm going to turn it back on again at 360 degrees. Excuse me, which is medium hot. Actually, I'm going to turn it down a little bit to about 320, because you don't want to cook these at the same heat level that you would cook like a traditional pancake. Traditional pancakes are cooked relatively hot. These you want to cook slower, because it takes them a longer time to set up. That butter is going to get nice and brown, and meanwhile I am going to get a plate. Because, honey child, we are almost there. Our butter is brown. Now I'm going to use a spoon. Usually I use a disher for pancakes, but most people don't have dishers. So I'm just going to show you how I do it with a spoon. Just a great big heaping as you can get on the spoon. And just kind of spread it out a little bit in there. I'm going to turn this down a little bit more even, because it just smells like it's going pretty fast. I'm still not entirely used to this cooktop. I'll have to use it some more. Thank you for being my guinea pigs. So, these will not cook as fast as regular pancakes. You cannot cook them as hot, but you do need to wait until, just like regular pancakes, you need to wait until they start to have bubbles coming up to the surface. They will puff up quite a bit, but then they'll slump back down a little bit when you take them out of the pan. There's no escaping it. Oh yeah, this is already quite dark on the bottom, the first one. Oh, look at that. See one bubble popping up there, one bubble popping up there, another one popping up there. You want to wait until the bubbles popping up on the top is what tells you that the interior mass of the batter is heated up enough to have begun to cook. I think 300 on this cooktop is going to be the right temperature to cook these. Like I said, I'm still kind of experimenting a little bit. This should be a medium heat on your stove, whatever you cook on. They need to have long enough so that they get cooked through, but don't over brown, which is easy for them to do. And it does take a little bit for them to cook through. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this now. There we go. Lovely color. They won't be as brown as this if you're using erythritol, but that's okay. Just look for, see there's a bubble right there. The sides will begin to get a little drier looking, just like in regular pancakes, and the bubbles will begin to pop. See, that one just popped. There's another one over there that's coming up and getting ready to pop. The bubbles will come up and start to pop on the top, just like regular pancakes. And like I said, the sides, see how the side is dry? It doesn't stick to the spatula. That's how you know when to turn it. There you go. And if you're using erythritol and they are not this brown, don't worry about it. Now you can tell that they're done by patting the top, and they should be firm. This one has still a little bit too much bounce. We might have to turn these ones over again and let them cook again on the first side. So you really need them to be done, because if they are wet in the middle, I don't know if you can see this. This one, when I touch it, it has kind of a little bit of a jiggle inside of it. This one, it bounces right back, but it feels firmer. I wish I could explain it to you better. But I don't think I can explain it to you any better than except in terms of if they feel at all wobbly when you touch them. They should feel firm, but they should bounce right back when you touch them. Okay, and keep in mind, they look really fluffy now. They're not going to look quite as fluffy when they've cooled a little bit. But these are done. There we go. And batch number 2. You usually don't have to butter the pan in between, but you can add some more butter if you want to. Butter usually makes it better. Or like I said, if you're trying to do completely dairy-free, this is another situation where beef tallow or pork fat will be absolutely appropriate. just do the same things with the beef tallow or pork fat that we did with the butter. Melt it a little bit before you stir it into your batter. Okay, we have it at 300, and I think this is the perfect temperature. But while we're waiting for those, look at this, people. Look at this, my precious friends. That's a freaking pancake. Dairy-free, made out of chicken and eggs. And if you like, or you can tolerate, the occasional drizzle of sugar-free syrup, or if you're just okay with eating the occasional little bit of sugar, some genuine maple syrup, if you're into whole food, you go ahead and you do you. I do the sugar-free kind. But look at the inside. Look at that. That's a pancake, my loved ones. Now, you can serve these with pancake syrup, or you could serve them with some butter. The cinnamon and the vanilla tastes really good in here. If you stop and think about it, you can kind of taste the chickeny bit, but you know, it's no weirder than, like, say, chicken and waffles, which is a real big thing here in the South, around Asheville, which is where I live. Anyway, you could use these as slider buns. Leave the vanilla and the cinnamon out. But it really doesn't have a strong flavor of cinnamon. You could put more cinnamon in if you liked it. You could use these as slider buns. You could use these to make little breakfast Sammies. You could eat them, like I said, with some jam or some syrup or whatever, or some cinnamon and sugar substitute mixed together to make little cinnamon pancakes. I imagine you could buy some of those little teeny tiny sugar-free chocolate chips and make chocolate chip pancakes if that's what you're into. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and do pancakes, I mean, I can see where you might be okay with splurging a little bit. So we're going to turn our second batch. Look at that. This is one of the recipes that I've been working on lately that I'm just really, really happy with. And so's my hubby, because he loves pancakes. Pancakes is one of the things that he misses on this carnivore diet. And while I would not recommend you making this the basis of your diet. I wouldn't recommend you feeling like, oh yay, let's eat pancakes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. You know, because that much chicken could be problematic for some people. And there are some food additives in here, let's be frank. But if you can moderate, and there are lots of people who can, and it's been pretty much established, I think, that the more carnivore you go, the easier it is for you to moderate when you do eat off plan a little bit. I think that's a common experience for people. These, gosh, I even like them plain. Smear a little butter on this and just eat it as a snack. I just think I'm really happy with these. I hope you will be too. These other ones are almost ready to come out, and then we'll close off. But I really, really hope you do this. This is fun. You can impress some of your non-carnivore folks. Non-carnivore people who are used to ordinary pancakes might find these a little strange tasting. But if you're full-on, if you're a serious carnivore, dedicated carnivore, I'm thinking you're going to like these. You're going to like the taste of these just fine. They're not going to taste like ordinary pancakes, but it's not going to matter. Here we go. They are more than close enough. They're certainly taste better than some weird, crazy, vegan, egg-free, nasty, pancake-like idiocy that I've had. when they're trying to make them healthy by putting like pea protein and trying to make them dairy free and egg free and all kinds of free, and just make them like, might as well go pancake free because they're inedible. But anyway, here we go, precious friends. Carnivore pancakes. They are light and fluffy, as pancakes should be. They are delicious with whatever kind of syrup you are prone to using on your pancakes, whether it's sugar-free or not, or whether it's no syrup at all. Use them as Sammy buns or slider buns. Anyway, I'm real happy and real proud of this particular recipe. I'm going to finish eating this one. I'm real happy you all joined me today. I wish you peace, love, and meat. And I'm going to see you again real soon with another fun recipe with chicken flour. This is ending up better than I expected. I love you all. Peace, love, and meat. I'll see you again soon. Bye.